Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Lettuce.
Lettuce who?
Let us in and you'll find out.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to Hungry Squared Podcast, where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon, the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com.
This week we're talking about ourselves.
And this podcast.
Woohoo!
Let's talk about it.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.
Hey Winter, what'd you eat this week?
Well, I just ate a fabulous salad that my husband made. It was delicious.
Salad?
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was a Greek salad.
What was the best part of your Greek salad?
Everything. I like salads that have more stuff than salad stuff. I like salads that have more stuff than greens.
Oh, okay.
The ratio needs to be pretty high on the stuff part.
I got
Tomatoes, artichokes, olives. It was lovely.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? What did you eat this week?
I splurged and I made macaroni and cheese.
Oh.
And it was with an aged cheddar, like a 7-year Wisconsin extra sharp aged cheddar. It's delightful.
It is delightful. I've had that cheddar before.
And I put avocados and nutmeg on top.
What?
As I garnished it with avocado and tomato, and I put nutmeg on it instead of salt and pepper. I put a little bit of kosher salt on it, but it was really good.
That is interesting.
It was super tasty.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Super tasty.
I'm going to trust you on that because I'm trying to picture that / taste it in my mouth, and I'm not succeedting, apparently.
So the nutmeg goes on the cheese, basically.
Right.
And the salt goes on the avocado. A little bit of kosher salt, just like a pinch.
Okay.
It's yum.
That's
good.
Sounds lovely. Awesome.
It's a way of slightly but not really healthifying your macaroni and cheese. Because nutmeg's a vegetable.
It totally is. It totally is.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds yummy.
It was good.
Good.
And now for the main course.
So, Sharon.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about our podcast.
I know, me too. Welcome, audience members, whoever you are. We are very, very excited to have you with us.
Hey, friends.
And we just wanted to kind of do a quick intro of this podcast and who we are. So hopefully you get to know us a little bit better and join us for further episodes. So what is this podcast about, Sharon?
Food nerdery.
Oh, yes.
We are going to be talking about design.
The design, such as like cast iron pans and why they are the shape they are, and the materials and what that does for the food.
Ooh.
And also, actually, we also talk about design in the sense of how folks will design packaging or bottles and such so that it affects us as the consumer. I think it's pretty good, actually. I love that kind of stuff.
Nice. We're also going to be talking about history.
Yes. What about history specifically?
Maybe Jane Austen's favorite ketchup.
What?
And the Natchitoches meat pie.
Come again?
That's right.
Okay, I guess we'll talk about it later then.
I didn't stutter.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're also going to be talking about science.
Science. Like supersaturated solutions and the polymerization of fats. I mean, it's cool stuff, man.
Science.
So that's what you're going to expect from this podcast, because we love food, but we kind of like all the nerdy stuff behind food. We'll eat it too. I mean, like, we love food. We'll eat it and we'll talk about it, but
yeah, you might hear us eating on the podcast. Probably not.
We'll try not to. That's kind of...
That's going to ruin the sound quality.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But we'll eat it off air and we'll tell you about it. How about that?
Excellent.
Okay, good deal. So we're going to talk a little bit about the food nerdery, and then we'll also actually have a fun little section called the food fights.
Ooh, fighting.
So in that section, we are going to actually ask you, the audience members, to participate. We want to hear your food/relationship problems or maybe your relationship problems in relation to food. So if you would like to ask us a question, please email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com and we will be happy to answer your question on the air. We're excited to hear what you guys have problems with. It's going to be awesome. So that's what our podcast is about. We are excited to tell you all about it and research and share our food nerdery with you. Along with that, we'd love to introduce who we are.
Yeah.
So I am Winter Red, and I am from Utah. This is where we're at right now. We're in Utah. And maybe Sharon can pipe in when she wants to about where she's from. But I am professionally have a different job, but involves science heavily. And so I've always been interested in science. So I'm really excited to kind of delve into this. But we also love food. So my husband is a chef. His name is Lee. And he loves to make food. He makes food for me. It's great.
And for his friends.
Yes.
It's super awesome.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal. So that's a little bit about me. How about you, Sharon?
I grew up in a couple of different places. I grew up in California and in Louisiana. And I've lived in the Salt Lake area for many years. Pretty much most of my adult life. And I work in the healthcare field on the business/corporate side. It's very different than food.
Yes, it is.
Food's more like my hobby, and the food nerdery part and the cooking part. And yeah. So, and I am single. I don't have a chef husband.
You need to get a chef husband.
Well, I just borrow yours when I want to eat good food.
That's a good point.
I just come over. I just show up at their house and then I get this amazing food. And it's like, oh, okay, bye.
This is awesome. Okay, thanks.
Hate to eat and run.
But I'm going to.
Exactly.
Lee likes it. He's good with that.
Yeah.
And as Sharon mentioned, we're kind of in these fields that are very intense and opposite of this podcast. So it's kind of our way of being creative and expressing ourselves. So we hope you enjoy it as well. It's just, we're looking forward to it. So
yeah, excited.
I actually want to tell people how we met.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a good story. I think that'll give a little bit of insight into who we are a little bit more.
Okay.
So do you want to explain where we were living?
We were living in downtown Salt Lake City. If you've never been there, it's very, it's laid out in a very exacting grid pattern, east to west, north to south. We were on 2nd South and 9th East.
Yep.
I remember.
And we were neighbors.
Yes, we were in neighboring buildings. So we shared like a little courtyard almost.
Yeah.
Kind of, we did. There's like a sidewalk that went through it.
Yeah.
So.
And Sharon and I became just pretty good friends, and through our kind of just living next to each other and also some other kind of common friends that we had.
Yep.
So we became friends that way. That's pretty uneventful, I guess, actually. But
well,
I think, no, actually, it's actually eventful when you talk about how we became really good friends. So
our relationship went to the next level one time when I was sick.
Yeah.
And I had thrown my back out, which thankfully doesn't really ever happen anymore.
Thank goodness.
But at the time, it was happening a lot until we figured out what was going on. And so I was down and out for like days. I don't know. It was like 2 days or something in my apartment.
It was a long time.
And because we talked to each other and saw each other like all the time. And so I don't remember what it was. I think I couldn't get to my phone. Like it had died and I couldn't get it on the charger or whatever because I was in bed.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
And we had called her.
And I couldn't move.
I had called her multiple times, and I was dating my husband, my then boyfriend, which is now my husband, Lee. And we were concerned because we had not seen her or heard from her. She did not pick up the phone.
And yet my car had not moved.
Had not moved. So I had this horrible vision
of me dead.
Of her dead
in
in
a
her
pool
apartment,
of blood.
A pool of blood, and possibly She doesn't have cats, but there's kind of some stray cats that run into people's houses,
Well,
apartments.
at the time, my landlord had a cat that would just walk into our house all the time.
Yeah. So I was picturing her getting eaten by a cat because she couldn't get up for some reason.
Which could be why I, to this day, have an irrational fear of owning a cat, being a single lady, because I'm clumsy and I could totally hit my head and die, or just be incapacitated and wake up without a foot because the cat ate it.
Well, so yeah, cats need to get fed. And if you're not there to feed them, that took a ghastly turn.
It did. Anyway, Lee ended up breaking into my apartment.
It was awesome. So we opened her window because it totally was not even locked. I don't know. You were just asking.
I was home. I couldn't get to it and I couldn't defend myself necessarily.
So we jimmied up her window, and Lee climbed in because he's much taller than I am. So he got his foothold on to the side of the building and up into her window and poked his head in, and he started whispering, "Sharon, Sharon."
Hi, Lee. That's exactly how I said it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And so we actually think Lee climbed into the window to let me in the door because Sharon really couldn't open the door.
Nope.
So,
People had knocked.
Yep, many people apparently had knocked. Her brother, in fact, had knocked. And yeah, and they showed up actually shortly after.
They did. Yeah. Like everybody just convened at the house.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that if I go missing, I will be missed.
Yes. So that's what brought our relationship to the next level. Oh, yeah. It was pretty funny. And I look fondly upon that occurrence.
Yeah, it's not nearly as pathetic as it sounds.
It was pretty funny, though. So,
Winter,
yes.
what is a favorite regional food where you are from?
Oh, so I'm from Utah. I do like Jell-O. And
Do you?
I do. I do like Jell-O. I know that's surprising, but I didn't really grow up with it too much. So Jell-O's okay. Let me back up a little. I grew up here in the United States, but my parents are from Hong Kong. And so I was a first generation here in the United States. And so there was definitely some things that I didn't quite partake in when I was a kid of the usual traditional, like, American fodder. So I always, whenever people are like, "You like meatloaf?" I was like, "Yes, I love meatloaf," because I never had it as a kid.
Oh, okay.
Is that weird?
Gotcha.
So I do love Jell-O. I'm not going to say that's my final answer, though. Oh, great. I got to think about this now.
I think it's Jell-O. You're stuck now.
Dang it.
Utah doesn't really have many regional cuisine.
No, not really.
I mean, you've got your funeral potatoes.
Okay.
And your Jell-O.
Okay, the funeral potatoes are pretty darn awesome here.
They are pretty good.
Like, everybody has their
For those of you that
rendition.
don't know, the funeral potato is, I don't know, it's usually kind of like hash brownish with a sauce.
a cheesy
sauce with like something crunchy on top, which is
breadcrumbs or
Breadcrumbs.
cornflakes.
potato chips.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
options there, but
And it's typically served at a funeral.
that's why they're called funeral potatoes. I know
It's
sounds
just a big
so
cheesy
morbid.
potato casserole with crunchies on top.
It's very comforting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with that. I really like funeral potatoes because, once again, one of those things I never had growing up.
Nice.
So, how about you?
I would say probably crawfish.
Oh, yeah.
As long as I don't have to peel my own, because that really
Wait.
does gross me out a little bit. But
You can get crawfish that's already peeled?
yeah, like you can get tails
Oh,
lots of times.
I didn't know that. I've always just peeled them myself.
Or you can get somebody to peel it for you.
Oh, okay. Hey there. What you doing with that crawfish tail? Just give it to me, okay?
Yep.
You are so smart.
You can suck the head. I'll eat the tail.
This is why we're friends.
Yep.
Okay, that works then. Sharon, I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How tall are you?
I am 5'10" and 3/4.
Oh, dang, she is so tall.
My license says I'm 5'11".
Everybody,
Just because, like, yeah, It does.
She's
When I wear shoes, that's basically what I am, or a little bit taller.
a little bit taller, actually. She's pretty tall. So I'm a little shorter than a lot of the people around me. I'm a solid 5'3". It's actually like 5'2 3/4. So I just round up so I feel
There you
better
go.
about myself. But yeah, there's Sharon, and she towers over me, and my husband towers over me. The only person I've got a leg up on is my daughter, and she's kind of tiny too.
Yeah, but she's a halvesy, so she could pass you up.
That's a good point. We shall see when puberty hits.
So, who are your food influences?
Oh, this is a good question. I would say my dad has been a huge food influencer for me because he taught me how to cook. And
cool.
because my mom had passed away when I was like 10 or so. So my dad had to teach all of us how to fend for ourselves while he was out working. And so we learned how to cook pretty early on. And so I would say him. And then I would probably say there's a few food blogs that I really like that I've taken a liking to. Pioneer Woman, Joy the Baker, Shutterbean. Those ladies are pretty awesome. And I really do love the America's Test Kitchen.
Yeah.
Because they're totally sciencey and nerdy about the food.
Yes.
I totally love that. So those are my food influencers, I think. How about you? I think you probably have similar ones.
I do, as far as the food bloggers go. All of those ones, I would say. My grandma, she was a big food influence. She tried so hard to teach me how to cook, and I learned maybe a couple of things from her, so that's kind of cool. But the whole concept didn't really stick of just, hey, I can make whatever I want. I'm just going to do it. One of my uncles, he passed away, oh gosh, probably almost 20 years ago now, but he cooked a lot for us. And he loved cooking without a recipe. So he was a good food influence. And my uncle was probably a big food influence. He cooked for us a lot when I was in junior high and high school, and he loved to cook without a recipe.
Oh.
Which,
That's a skill.
yeah, it is a skill. And everything he made was pretty good. I mean, he had a couple of fails. He still ate it and loved it, but I was like, no, that is not good.
That combination, I don't think so.
But he was always really excited to experiment in the kitchen and stuff. And I don't know, my mom had a few trusty dishes that she made really well, and they were just in regular rotation.
So did you pick up on those? Do you make those?
So I'm sad because I can't quite make her chocolate chip cookie recipe, even though it's based on the Betty Crocker chocolate chip cookie recipe.
She does
so
something
it should
different.
not be hard. Well, I know she had this particular type of mixer that helped.
Really?
Yeah, because the cookies were a little bit more airy and cakey.
Oh.
And so I can't quite get that with the mixer that I have.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was it's a different shape than your standard KitchenAid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why it's a little bit difficult. But someday.
You will get it.
So yeah, those are some of my food influences. And there's been several really close friends who have been a huge influence on me, in teaching me technical skills and things like that. Like my friend, the veteran, who
Yes.
went to culinary school and was a chef at 5-star restaurant, things like that. He taught me a lot. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Very good. Well, so this is kind of very not related, but what is your dream job?
Oh man.
Right? Right?
Can I get paid to be a lady of leisure? A lady who lunches?
A lady who lunches. You know what? I would love to do that too. That's kind of
I think it would be fun to be a food critic.
Oh yeah. Yes, that would
If
be.
I could, I don't know, perfect my writing skills, I would love to be a food critic.
That would be pretty awesome. Yeah, I think kind of along that line, actually. I think I would love to be like a food writer, or, I think actually this podcast is something that is up my alley. I think it's fun. I get to research stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
That I have never thought to look up unless we had a topic to discuss. And so I think that would be my little dream job.
Nice.
So yay for doing stuff that you want to do. Woo!
Nice. What music do you listen to when you cook?
I am a podcast listener, actually.
Oh.
We listen to podcasts all the time. Lee does too. He loves soccer, and so he listens to all his soccer podcasts. So I know a ton about soccer now because of it.
Nice.
But I listen to a bunch of other podcasts that are like Stuff You Missed in History Class, or 99% Invisible, and This American Life. The oldies and goodies.
Okay.
So, yeah. Good Job Brain. We love Good Job Brain, too. It's a trivia podcast.
Nice.
How about you? Music? Podcast?
So I love listening to podcasts, but I listen to podcasts at work.
Oh. Can you do that?
Yeah, with like my headphones in or whatever.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, can
not
you?
all of the
I was about
time.
to say, can you concentrate? Because I don't think I could.
That's something. So I can't listen to a podcast when I cook because listening to the podcast requires too much concentration.
Yeah. As well as cooking, and cooking does too.
Yeah, because I will burn things. I will massively ruin things. There will be food on the ceiling probably. Like, it'll be bad. I've tried to do it before and I've been successful, but it's taken me about 3 times as long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I can listen to podcasts at work if I'm doing something that's a little bit monotonous, because sometimes that happens. So, but I listen to jazz mostly.
Really?
And like big band when I cook.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's got a good beat, probably.
Yep.
Upbeat.
It's songs that I know, like Cole Porter songbook, that kind of stuff. And so it's stuff that I don't really, I mean, I love it so much, but I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And other music, it kind of distracts me because I'm like, oh, what's that new song?
Right.
Or that kind of thing.
That's so interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. I learned something new today, everybody. Okay. Here's one of my questions that I'm curious to know about. What is the one dish you have made, cooked, baked, whatever, that you are the most proud of? And it could be something like somebody else's recipe because you pulled it off so spectacularly, or it could be something you came up with.
I've come up with a couple of things. I'm really good at altering recipes to, sometimes my altering a recipe ends up completely changed.
But those are kind of fun too.
Yeah, they are. I've made Thanksgiving dinner a couple of times.
Oh.
And one time, this in particular time that I'm thinking about, I made Thanksgiving dinner with homemade rolls, with dessert, all for just me and my parents. Just
Really?
the 3 of us. And I spent a good chunk of the day cooking. And I was like, oh my gosh, why do people do this? And it was really good, but I didn't make turkey.
What did you do instead?
We had a pecan crusted salmon with pomegranate glaze.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yes, because at the time I was a very diehard pescatarian. I have weird food habits sometimes.
You'll learn
I'll
that
be a
about us.
vegetarian for several years, and I'll be a pescatarian. Then,
Do whole life. Whole
30. Do paleo, and then I'll just eat cheese. All of the cheese.
All of the cheese.
Yeah. So what is your most proud cooking dish moment?
So I kind of do the same thing as you. When I get a recipe, I'm like, I can make that better.
Yeah.
Like, I like it, but you're like, there's something missing. I want it to be, there's got to be something different. So I came up with this lemon basil cake.
Oh, that is a good cake.
And I'm pretty darn proud of it. And
That cake is an award-winning cake.
it is an award-winning cake. And it was really fun to win those awards because it was just a weird like combination. I think it was unexpected for a lot of people. So I think that had a large part to do with why I won, I think. But it reminds me of springtime.
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
It's delightful.
Yes, it is. I think it is lovely. So yeah, I think that's the one that I would say I'm pretty proud of.
Would you rather
Oh no.
bathe in chocolate or cheese?
Chocolate.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't want that cheese getting all up in different places.
but the chocolate can.
The chocolate totally can. But the cheese worries me a little.
But the cheese is already funky. Like, are you going to notice?
That's a good point. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I'm a little grossed out by that.
What?
No chocolate. Definitely chocolate.
All right.
How about you?
Well, I would say chocolate just because it's got a thinner consistency.
Oh, yeah. Like, think about trying to get cheese out of your hair. Let's talk about that.
Oh, man. That's just gross. Ugh.
Right. And maybe it's because I'm thinking of like the Velveeta cheese consistency.
That's not cheese.
I know it's not cheese. I know it's not cheese. But that's what I have in my mind.
So then it'd be like when you're in elementary school and somebody puts gum in your hair
Yeah.
and you have to use like peanut butter to get it out,
Yep.
which I don't know how that works, but
I think you'd have to go with Dawn to get Velveeta out of your hair.
Ooh. It's like an oil spill.
Yeah.
You're like a sad duck trying to get the cheese out of your hair.
Oh, that was quite the picture in my head.
Well, they get better.
Will I get better after the cheese spill?
No. You'll still have that cheese in your hair.
And that's why I chose chocolate, okay? So, I have one last question. Do you have any
Okay.
questions? Any other questions that we...
What is your favorite food memory of our friendship?
Of our friendship? Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay. It was... So we used to have a little get-together with our friends, and we called it Iron Chef.
Oh, yeah.
And we would have a theme. So we wouldn't really cook all together because it was just too difficult. There's too many of us.
Well, because you're talking like 30 people.
Yeah, there's a ton of people that come to these little
Just in someone's
gatherings.
apartment.
Yeah, and it got a little crowded. So we would always bring our food. And I remember one time, because I have never eaten panna cotta before.
Oh, yeah.
And you made this lovely panna cotta, I think with blood oranges, a blood orange, because the theme was citrus.
Yep.
And it was lovely. I just remember like, wow, that was awesome. How did they do that? I was just really impressed with Sharon.
Yeah.
And
It came together really quick.
It was amazing. And I was like, I've never had panna cotta before. I've never had it with blood oranges nonetheless. And it was just, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I don't know if you knew that was something that I remember, but I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
You're so
I
cool.
totally forgot about making that. I loved that dish.
It was amazing.
And you know what? That's the only time I've ever made it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I should probably make it again. That's seriously been like 8 years ago. Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, we had a cooking food date once.
Oh, yes.
We had a food date and we each had our recipes that we were going to make. And then we made one together, I think.
Yeah.
The roasted tomato pesto.
It was so good.
That was delightful. We just like took a chunk of a Saturday and hung out together in the kitchen and cooked.
It was
fun.
It was so fun. I totally forgot about that too. I have pictures from that. That was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, good times. Good times. Okay, my last question for you is, why did you want to start this podcast with me?
I wanted to do something creative and I like to talk about food and I like to share that passion with others.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's probably me too. I would say ditto. I just am excited about it. And Sharon's probably the best person I could have asked because she's like as excited about food as I am. And we kind of talk about it all the time. And when we give gifts to each other, it's generally food related.
It totally is. It's awesome.
Generally food related. Like last week, she brought us some duck fat in a jar. And that has been fun to try.
And this week, you got Linenade and Stalinade.
Specialty sodas.
They're specialty red communist sodas.
Pretty excited about that. And I got some cheddar one time. And yeah. So Sharon's like the best person to do this podcast with. And I'm so excited. We're so excited you're here. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah. And we're also going to help you out with, remember your food dilemmas in your close relationships that you have.
Oh, yeah, totally. We
have had our share of food dilemmas.
Food dilemmas and relationship problems.
Yeah.
But I would just like to say we are not trained professionals.
But you should totally listen to us.
Yeah, because we totally know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, we have to put a disclaimer in there. If you need professional help, you should seek that out.
You should totally do that.
But you should send in your problems to hungrysquared@gmail.com.
It's going to change your life, people.
Listen up.
I think we've talked their ear off, Sharon.
Probably.
We're excited for you guys to be here. We really are. And we're hoping that you'll join us. And we would love for you to download additional episodes. We have some down here below. You can't see me pointing, but I'm pointing to my computer with all these new episodes that you can download. So do that.
Yeah, and they have themes, and it's really cool.
Yeah. We would love it if you left a rating for us on iTunes. We just review on iTunes because that helps people find us, and it helps us get better at this podcast. So please do that.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you soon. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry squared, yeah, hungry.